Good morning and welcome to Community Distance Reiki. I'm Danielle from Learn Reiki Philadelphia. Thank you so much for being here. If you're here live, go ahead and feel free to put any healing requests into the chat and I will reflect those in the crystal grid. For those of you who are watching this on the replay, this is absolutely still a palpable healing for you. If you would like to be a part of this live, join me every Wednesday at 4 p.m., Thursday at 8 a.m., Friday at 4 and 8 p.m., Sunday at 8 p.m., all East Coast US time. And thank you again so much for being here. If you'd like to learn more about my online Reiki classes, services like tarot readings, the social media, and our free community Discord, go ahead and check out the description box and all of that's there for you. And thank you again so much. Oh, already some love in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. It's good to see you again. Also, the way that this generally runs, this is a 1-hour healing, and so for the first half an hour, I'll build this custom crystal grid based on the healing request of those who are here. And then for the second half an hour, I will bring up the volume of the music. Actually, I'm going to bring it down now so you can hear me a little better. And I'll bring up the music. I'll go nice and quiet and I'll just focus on sending so you can just bliss out and be wherever you happen to be in the world. So we're going to go ahead and start off that crystal grid. Just so you know, at the end of every recording, I always list all of the crystals in the description so that you have the spelling. I do have a crystal shop on my website, but I don't have all of the crystals there. Additionally, if you're looking for them local, that's totally groovy too. This way you can actually see the spelling of the different crystals and use that to help you source them. And we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm happy to support your healing today. If there's any other requests, go ahead and don't hesitate to pop them in there. Let's see. I've been working with crystals a really long time. I've been teaching Reiki for 13 years and I've been working with crystals for longer than that. But I still love to bring in the background, guidance, wisdom, and input of different authors and different local practitioners when I'm looking for which crystals to use. So sometimes I'll look it up. And right now, I'm actually working with this awesome book by Cassandra Eason. Oh, so awesome. And so we're gonna do some support around some Bell's palsy and definitely want to see what we can do. I know I have some great stones that are good for neurological type things and anything with the nerve system. That includes things like moss agate and tree agate can be really helpful for both of those things. So let's see what she would use for things like that. Cool. So let's do, she actually suggests some kyanite, which is always an amazing stone. And also for the nervous system in general, leopardskin jasper. So let's go ahead and start putting those out. I'm hoping this can help smooth you out too. Let's see. Leopardskin jasper. Some tree agate. So I'm going to go ahead and switch the camera view over so that you'll be able to see both me and the crystal grid as I build it. Sorry about that. Okay. Let's see. So this is tree agate. I have another piece too, and we have some moss agate here. Some leopardskin jasper. And these are also generally all-purpose stones for nerve and neurological systems. So tree agate is used quite often and is considered really highly revered in Ayurveda. The tree agate comes from the idea of it looks like there's kind of like branches coming out, and so it very much emulates a tree. This is in a way seen to help with the nerves. It just sort of branches out throughout. This here is leopardskin jasper, and you can kind of see why. Looks like literal leopard skin with those round, beautiful round sort of spheres that have this beautiful surround around them. This is excellent for nerves according to Cassandra Eason, but I've not used it for that before, so let's see today. There we go. Let's see what else we have. We have some green kyanite and we have some red kyanite, or sorry, blue kyanite. Green kyanite I tend to use a lot for lung health, but it does so much more. This has been one of our sacred go-tos during the worst of COVID when everybody seemed to have it and be struggling at home. This was really helpful to so many folks. I mean, there's only so much you can do. So you use all the things you have at your disposal. And why not some crystals? The way I build my grids is just a little bit more intuitively. As you see here. Go. So there's some green kyanite, but green kyanite's also excellent for the heart, being that it's green. And blue kyanite is a stone that I actually use quite frequently here for lots of other reasons too. Cassandra Eason feels like this can be really helpful for the nervous system. I often use it for feeling more at home with who you are, especially if you've been shamed for who you are. It's an excellent stone for folks who struggle with being judged for being LGBTQ and trans and things like that, and that's a lot of my client base. And I'm in the Rainbow Clan too, but for a lot of my clients and friends who are struggling with coming to terms with who they are and how society sees them, this can help with pride in themselves. It's also an incredible stone for working with intuition. It helps us to take the intuition that we receive and make the most of it and kind of make sense of what all of that information is coming in. So if ever you're working with meditation or mediumship and you feel like you're getting this information but you can't quite understand it, this is a great crystal to kind of add to your practice there. And that's just blue kyanite. Moss agate, if you think of the way that moss kind of grows throughout the body, you'll see why it's kind of thought of to help the nervous system. Moss, in the smallest sense, before we normally see it spreads much like you would think of a tree, in that it kind of not just branches out, but kind of like encroaches on things, which actually looks a little bit like the nerve structure. And I think that's why it works so well for it. So let's go ahead and add ourselves some moss agate. Additionally, leopardskin jasper is a wonderful stone if you are doing any kind of work with ancestors and your animal guides. Super wonderful for that. So if you're working with seeing one of your animal guides and starting to connect with it, this can be a wonderful tool. Also for, like I said, for ancestors. If you're working with ancestors that you remember being alive while you were, or ancestors that predate your current inhabitation on this planet, it's an excellent stone for that. So there we go. Okay. So let's see, do we have any other requests? Let's see, what else can we add into this healing balm? Let's see. The current astrology right now is that Venus has entered Pisces, and Venus is as we would think of Venus, it's very related to relationships and how we relate to each other. So romantic relationships for sure, but all relationships. To some extent, maybe even how we relate to ourselves. Ever since this new moon in Aries, uh, which was on this past Friday, I believe, the energy has been very focused on us, ourselves, and what's going on within us. It's been very focused on what brings us joy, how we will allow ourselves to be treated in love relationships, what we will accept, and how we treat others in relationships and what we're willing to offer. A lot of boundary issues have come up around this, and now that Venus is in Pisces, which is a planet of or a heavenly body and a constellation and a sign of sort of no boundaries in love and lots of creativity, it can get really sticky right now around relationships. So I want to add some relationship healing stones. One of the best ones for that is definitely carnelian. And this is all kinds of relationships, not just romantic. It can be coworkers, all of that. And I know a lot of folks are heading back to offices and being around more people for the first time in a while. And a lot has changed in the last couple of years. So we're renegotiating those boundaries, what we will accept and what we will not accept. What else can we use? An excellent stone for another one for working through boundaries. There's so many good ones. Definitely honey agate, or honey calcite rather. I think last but not least, and there might still be some more. I know what we can add. A little bit of labradorite. I don't know about you. I've been struggling a lot with sleep and wild dreams, and I know from last night's event, definitely I'm not the only one. It was a common theme. Something that can really help with that is labradorite. Labradorite is also excellent for not only helping stabilize our connection to the divine, but also helping us to soothe the relationship between our logical mind and how we act and how we sort of bring ourselves into the world. So let's do a little bit of labradorite. Cool. Anybody else want to come out to play? I know the perfect thing. Maybe two. Certainly howlite. When we're negotiating this kind of clash in relationships, what we will accept, what we won't accept, and then all of a sudden this shift in like approach to boundaries, depending on where different things fall in your chart, it could be easier, more difficult, and then as we bring in the other folks and their shifting relationships here, it could be a little bit bring up a little bit of anger, a little bit of frustration, and frankly some resentments too can kind of bubble up. And for that we have howlite. Howlite absolutely invites in forgiveness, but in addition to forgiveness and forgiveness of others as well as self, just the general frustrations. And I think that right now a lot of us have some frustrations that have been kind of long standing as we shift back, back and forth into what is our new future and what is our old past and how much we've changed in the last couple of years. Howlite can be very helpful. Hi. Oh, I'm so glad you slept well. Any requests for healing in the grid today? And you can request for physical healing, emotional healing, mental, physical, spiritual, karmic, or you can also just request a specific stone. Let's see. Any more? Maybe a little bit of levity and heart lightening. So good to see you again. I know. Malachite. It can be really hard to hear where tarot's guiding us when we don't want it to be the way that we go. Yeah, I totally understand that. Emotional and spiritual healing around that for sure. So today we have on deck to help you with that. Definitely kyanite helps us with acceptance of who we are, which is great, but it's also excellent for taking the messages that come in and making the most of them and really hearing them for what they are. It's excellent for that. For the emotional kind of healing, it's also excellent for spiritual healing. Emotional healing, we have malachite is excellent for that. We have howlite, which helps with the frustrations and the resentments and the angers that we have, and also forgiving ourselves, which when we don't listen to our guidance and we end up in a bad spot, sometimes we really kind of blame ourselves. We get really in the weeds with that. Howlite can really help. And additionally, honey calcite can be really great for not just relationships with others, but our relationship with self and connection to spirit. I'm going to add a little bit of angelite as well. Angelite helps to connect us to our angels and gives us that unconditional angelic love support. And last, we'll do a little bit of celestite, which also works with angelite to help us feel a little bit more connected to spirit and angelic guidance. Also excellent for physical pain, if anyone's struggling with that today. Okay, so we're about ready to get started with some Reiki healing. Thank you all so much for being here. It is an honor and a pleasure, as always, to share some Reiki with all of you. There we go. So go ahead and use this opportunity to get nice and comfortable. You can sit up, you can lie down. Anything that feels comfortable to you is perfect. You can move around and adjust and get cozy as needed throughout the session, of course. And you can use this time any way that you like. If you would prefer to use this time to maybe take some gentle stretches or engage in another practice like breath work or yoga, absolutely encourage for you to use this time in a way that feels good to you, because it's all about you. So Reiki, as I understand it, I'm a practitioner of Usui Reiki. And as I mentioned at the top of the hour, my name is DanielleStimpson, and I'm the owner of Learn Reiki Philadelphia, and I've been teaching Reiki for about 13 years. And Reiki energy is an energy that's already around all of us, no matter where we happen to be. It's flowing through us. It's a part of us. It's a part of what connects all of us, and it's a part of just the earth that we live on. It's this beautiful earth-based healing chi. Our body, mind, and spirit know exactly what to do with this energy because it works with it all the time. And when we think of energy, in specific Reiki, this is one of those energies that is always a part of us, as I mentioned, even though we might not recognize it as such. Whether that's culturally, like here in the West, we don't really have a cultural understanding of energy and chi. At the same time, it is something that we're always tangibly working with, even if we don't acknowledge it. Much like we are mostly made of water and we don't really think of ourselves as water beings, we really are made of water. And when we drink water, we don't need to think about where it's going, what it's doing in our body. Our body does the work. It's not something our conscious mind has to be engaged in. Very similar with Reiki. When we bring in more of this energy that can help replace energies that we can now let go of, or help bring in and replace energy that's already a little depleted, this can help us support ourselves, body, mind, and spirit. Our body, mind, and spirit already know how to best use Reiki for us today in this moment. Every single Reiki session is going to be a little bit different just based on our needs of that particular day. So it might feel more emotional. It might feel a little bit more like sensations in your body. It may feel a little bit more intuitive and guidance related, or maybe you're not sure if it's which one of those it is, or maybe it's a combination of all of the above. You don't need to focus on it. During your session, you don't need to focus on anything, and you don't need to keep a silent mind. Maybe your mind will wander, and maybe that's actually really healing. Maybe that's a way for intuition to come in for you. At the same time, maybe you're going to take a little nap. Awesome. Go ahead, take that nap. That can be really helpful too. Maybe you'll be between awake and asleep, and you won't quite know where you are. Reiki, as well as many styles of meditation, is seen in studies to help raise the levels of theta brainwaves within your mind. And this is the state that our brain is in when we go to deep states of sleep. So this invites things like hypnagogic imagery. It's a big fancy word that means dreamlike images or dreamlike pictures that we would get while we're sleeping. So if you experience those, awesome, great. You're not the only one. It's definitely something that can happen. During the session, feel free to just notice what comes up for you. But if you get distracted or feel like your mind is racing, or if you're not quite sure, just take a deep breath in and out at your own pace. That will help be a gentle reset and allow you to reconnect with the session. Reiki, because it's an energy that connects everything everywhere, it's already around you. When I practice Reiki, I'm just directing more of it to you. This has been something that sends energy over great distances and practiced in that way for thousands of years. So before Usui even founded his particular practice of it. Additionally, sending it over time is definitely a use for several of the methods of working with Reiki. Much like we can send it over a distance because we're already connected, time is really not a thing when it comes to energy healing. So no matter where you happen to be in relation to me time-wise, if you're watching this on a replay, the Reiki will absolutely support you wherever you happen to be. Just go ahead and think about it and invite it in, and there you go. So I'm going to go ahead, again, invite you to get nice and comfortable. I will mute my microphone, I'll bring up the music, and I'll just go ahead and commence sending Reiki to all of you for the next half an hour or so. At the end of that, I'll gently bring the music down in volume, and you'll hear my voice come back, inviting you to take a deep breath in and come back to the space in which you find yourself. At that time, I'll go ahead and take any questions you might have about Reiki, healing, and anything like that in general. And then we can go ahead on about our day. Again, if you want to see upcoming dates and times, I'm here every week at this time and for others. All of that information is in the description box below, along with all of the information about me, my online Reiki classes, and everything else you might want to know about me, from social media to the free community Discord. So go ahead, take a deep breath. And at any point, if healing intentions, ideas, or focus points come to mind, go ahead and just send them up to the universe by bringing them to mind and letting them go. The universe will absolutely hear your request. Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor and a pleasure to share this healing with you today. I'm going to go ahead and start the sending. I hope you have a beautiful session, and I will see you in about a half an hour. I invite you now to take a deep breath in and out. You can slowly start to come back as you gently move, stretch, or bend. Feel free to stay in this space if it feels right to you. Thank you so much for being here. And if you have any questions at all, go ahead and enter them into the chat. I'd be so happy to answer them. I hope you had a wonderful session. I felt deeply healing here. I really felt that angelite. I don't know about you. Sometimes when we've had energy work, we can be a little bit more thirsty, so pay attention. See if you want a little bit more water than normal. And additionally, if you feel ungrounded, in a way like floaty and not able to focus, and you're in a position where that's not super helpful, go ahead and do some grounding exercises. Those can be, if it's comfortable and safe for you, to go ahead and sit on the floor. If you want to do some stretches, washing your hands in cold water, and even placing your feet either into an Epsom salt soak or even just on a bag of Epsom salt, even just for a few minutes, will make a huge difference. Even walking around outside, taking a few breaths of fresh air. As I yawn. If you can be outside and putting your feet in the earth, if that's a possibility where you happen to be, that might be helpful, even if that's just for a few moments. Thank you, Moon Muse, for subscribing. Deeply appreciate you being here. Absolutely encouraged to go ahead and ask any questions that you have. And if you think of questions later, you can ask me on my socials, you can ask me through my website, or you can leave it as a comment on this or another video, and I'll be more than happy to support you with that. Oh, I'm so happy. Yeah, I know it's you, Melanie. It's wonderful, like, to be on here. This particular event started on Zoom, and it grew out of closing my physical studio at the beginning of COVID. And it's been a wonderful blessing to be able to meet new people and see so many old faces of my students and my graduates and clients past. And it's been wonderful to see you, and wonderful to see you, Melanie. I'm so glad this was healing for you. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, leopard jasper can be deeply healing. There's so many crystals that sort of don't get their due. They don't get talked about much. Leopard jasper is one of them. Yeah, leopard jasper is seriously one of them. I'm so glad this was healing for you, and I hope it was healing for the rest of you. we do have a budding community space on our Discord. Discord is free. It's a set of community servers that you can access through a phone app or even your web browser. If you follow the link in my description, you'll just have to answer a few questions a couple of times, and once we've kind of filtered out bots and things like that, you can join in and continue the conversation with folks you meet in chat and with everybody else in our healing community, from grads to folks all over. I'm so glad this was healing for you. Aw, it's good to see you too. Awesome. Be in touch and definitely send me an email too if you have any questions about anything, or if I can be helpful in any way. More than happy to support you. I'm here every week at this time, starting at 8 a.m. Eastern US time. Currently we're in daylight time, so that's GMT -4. And as I mentioned, I'm here every Wednesday at 4 p.m., Thursdays at 8 a.m., Fridays at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m., and Sundays at 8 p.m., all Eastern US time, GMT -4 for this time of the year. And I'm available on my socials, on my website, learnreikiphiladelphia.com. It has information about my online Reiki classes and more information about me, tarot readings, etc., and distant one-on-one healings. I will also put all of the names of the crystals spelled out in the description below, and you can always access our previous events by going to our channel and adding it and just going ahead and looking at the past replays. If you can, go ahead and please like the stream. That really helps spread the word about the stream and everything we've done here. We're almost at 100 subscribers, and I've only been on YouTube for just about a month, so thank you so much for the support. I know so many of those are those of you who I've worked with before, and those of you who are new, so thank you, all of you, so much. And if you would consider subscribing with the bell notifications, you'll actually get notified every time I go live. So I'm going to go ahead and bring the stream to a close. I will be in the chat for just a few minutes. If you do come up with a question, I'm here to help you. And again, I'll answer all the questions in the comments as soon as I can, but also keep an eye out for my community Discord or reach out to me through my socials. Take care, be well, and take care of yourself, okay? Much healing to you.